Hey guys, what's up? Recently I finished Xenoblade Chronicles 3 and I'm here as usual to make my review of it. And again, as usual, I'm gonna start with the positive and then the negative because as usual, I have a lot to say about this game. So let's begin. Alright guys, we're gonna start with the positive as always, and I guess a good place to start is the story. But for those who don't know, it's about a world where two opposing groups, Keves and Agnus, are at constant war with each other. Characters are born from pods and immediately become soldiers to fight for only 10 years. That's right, every single character here has a 10-year lifespan from when they're like 7 or 8 years old until they're like 17 or 18 and then they die. We got 3 protagonists from Keves and 3 protagonists from Agnus. Upon a fated encounter, they end up fighting against each other, but they also end up joining each other against this huge monster called a console, and that's when, after that they get some powers called, and they become the Ouroboros. No, not the Ouroboros from the Trail series, from the Legend of Heroes series, not that Ouroboros, nothing to do with that. Well, let's just say they become the fated heroes, to liberate the old colonies and stop this nonsensical war. That's all I'm gonna say, it expands a lot from there, and this is a great, very well written story, really dark, really tragic, highly emotional, and my god, what amazing writing in here. A great, supreme narrative in this game. I dare say this has the best story by far of the entire Xenoblade series. I liked it that much, and the character development in this game is incredible, far more incredible and amazing, and heartwarming, full of really strong emotions that, hit you right in the heart. The things these characters go through, the things they suffer through, all their suffering, all their hopelessness, it really infects the player. That's what I'm trying to say, it's such an incredible, well-written story and definitely one of the 2 biggest highlights in this game. Now, the music is great. I like some tunes, I remember some tunes, some of the themes were memorable, some others were kind of forgettable. The battle system is obviously one of the most memorable things because it's the one theme that you'll be listening to over and over again, these battle themes. But to be honest, I think the previous games have better music, slightly better music. This one comes very close, but I love the soundtrack in this game, but I think I prefer the ones in the previous games. Now, the visuals in this game, are the great and the horrible. We'll get to the horrible part later. But the good thing about this game is that it's just as beautiful, as gorgeous as its predecessor, perhaps even more. The character models look amazing, how the expressions, I think most of you who probably played this game paid attention to the expressions, how the characters move their eyes, like we humans do in real life. And the world itself, the areas, the dungeons, the forest, the overworld. It's just a very, very beautifully looking video game. Alright, the gameplay. The gameplay is, again, one of the best things about this game because it's so friendly, it's amazing. It's like they listened to every single complaint that I had from the previous 2 games and removed it here and fixed it. Thank you, Monolith Soft. It turned out to be an amazing experience. For example, there's this GPS system. You always know where you're supposed to go, in the previous games, but they don't tell you how to get there. In here, there's literally a GPS system, like the one in your phone. We're showing you the best route available, to get from point A to point B. And for a guy like me who suffered through Xenoblade Chronicles 2 a lot because I have a terrible sense of direction, I was getting lost the entire time. Here, oh man, that went away and it made me the happiest man, the happiest gamer in the world. The pacing is incredible as well. This is a game that holds your hand from the start. It doesn't let you go. The first 2 games start off really interesting, but they get boring after a while and then they come back and hook you up again. Here, no, my man, this game never lets you go. Hooks you up from the start and it never lets you go until the very end, until after the credits. Sure, you go from town to town, from colony to colony in this game, traversing through several different overworlds and areas, but it's so beautiful, the pacing is so great, and there's a lot going on, there's a lot of story, a lot of character development in here that it's just extremely interesting and it never feels repetitive at all. The combat in this game, man, is the best, the second best thing about this game. I really love the combat. Everything wrong with the combat from the previous games is gone, and everything right, they improved it. It's like in the previous two games, where your abilities are locked into one button of your controller. Later you unlock more abilities to attach to your D-pad, and then you got this fusion system to combine these arts to create combos. And by the way, all quick time events, all small quick time actions the previous two games had, well, Xenoblade Chronicles 1, 2, and Torna, I barely touched X, so I don't know much about that game. But the previous games had these, where you had to click the button at the right time with the circle zooming into the button, Remember that? That is completely gone from this game. I don't know what to think about that, I kinda liked that in the previous two games, but the fact that it was gone in this one, it didn't bother me at all, and I still ended up adoring this combat. The chain attacks, however, are back, and they mean serious business this time, because they are also, I can't believe it, they're amazing, they are the highlight of the combat. Because this is a game where you have 6 party members. In the previous game you only have 3 in the first game, and 3 and each one with their blades, but their blades were mostly supporting the characters, barely fighting. Here, no! Every single character fights, and on top of that, almost since the parties merge, you have a hero, an extra party member. You can't control this party member, but they aid you in battle. So in other words, 90% of the game you have 7 party members, and it gets so chaotic and out of control, and when you're fighting multiple enemies, it's kind of hard to distinguish, to know what's going on in there. Like, I don't even know who I'm fighting, who I'm hitting. But I don't know, I kind of like that. So, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's gonna bother some of you, but it didn't bother me. I love this battle system, and one of the reasons is because it has so many party members. But going back to the chain attacks, it's the highlight of the combat, it's amazing. You can't wait for the bar to fill up so you can execute these chain attacks, because in them you do massive damage and massive combos. Sure, it takes a while to execute each and every single chain attack, and with most of the major bosses you'll be doing them like 3, 4, 5 times, but it feels so great doing this amazing amount of damage to their millions of HP. Just like in the previous games, most of the bosses have millions of HP. But the huge difference here, unlike in the previous two games, is that regular enemies, they finally balance that. Like I said, it's like they listen to almost every single one of my complaints from the previous two games. Enemies take forever to kill. Regular enemies, even that really small freaking bunny, takes forever to kill in the previous games. Not in here, they die quickly because they're supposed to die quickly. They're regular enemies, they shouldn't take that long. Sure, there's some elite monsters that take longer, and then the bosses take freaking forever, but that's like a Xenoblade characteristic, right? So they fixed that in this game, and I love that, that made me fight elite monsters more often to get more experience, and visit several locations, to get more experience. They give you a lot of experience points from locations, and of course you level up at the camps. I love this combat, guys. This has become one of my favorite JRPG battle systems of all time now. That's how much I love it. Alright, let's start with the negative. First and foremost, I do have some criticism towards the story. I don't want to say much because I don't want to spoil anything at all. There is a connection to the previous two games, to Xenoblade 1 and 2, but it's a connection where it's kind of like, what the hell? I'm serious, like, it's so out of context, very nonsensical, and they barely explain any connection to the previous games whatsoever. And that kind of bothered me, It didn't bother me that much. The story's still amazing here, the writing is incredible, but that was kind of nonsensical, And in terms of the overall story, it does have some cliches here and there. The power of friendship, fighting the incredible god, and it's a JRPG plot, very well developed, but in the end, it's a JRPG plot. You know what I'm talking about. So there's a job system in this game. You guys know me, I'm not a fan of job systems. It is disguised as a class system, even though it's actually a job system, because in here, every character, your 6 party members, can change their jobs to their other party members, to their other allies, or to the heroes. These heroes involve usually, most of them, a quest. Some of them are mandatory, are story quests, but some of them involve a side quest that you have to complete to get the hero to join your party. And you can learn their jobs as well. However, it's not that negative for me, it wasn't that negative an experience for me because, to be honest, it didn't feel like it was getting in the way. Like, I was never forced to change my job. You know, the original class every character has, you know, is fine. And I kept coming back to them, especially during the boss fights, because I noticed that whenever I changed my job, if I didn't have that job mastered, you know, I was dying constantly during some of the boss fights. So every time I died, you know, I changed every character to their original job and I pulled through, you know, I beat the crap out of that boss. So what I did at the end was I ended up mastering a couple of jobs for each character and that was it. But for the majority of the game, you know, I stuck with the original job for every party member, maybe except for Mio. She was a healer most of the time because I needed to have 3 healers. One of the things that I didn't like about the combat in this game is that nobody can revive party members except healers. You know how in the previous games anybody could revive your characters? No, in this game that's gone. If your healers die, you might as well reset the freaking game. And the difficulty in this game is all over the place. It is important for me to tell you guys that I play this game on normal mode from the beginning until the very end. For the first 15 to 20 hours of story, you know, in this game, the game is incredibly easy. Sure, there's a couple of spikes with some boss battles, you know, I'm looking at you, freaking Baldi. But anyway, my point is that halfway through the game, it starts getting incredibly easy sometimes and incredibly hard sometimes. Some bosses with millions of HP, you take them down in a few seconds, in a couple of minutes. And others, you know, you die again and again. However, I didn't feel this game was that unbalanced or that spiky, you know, like, for example, the previous game, Xenoblade Chronicles 2, was spiky as hell. Here, I felt it was more balanced. So overall, it's not really a major complaint. Throughout this review, you've probably noticed that I'm criticizing it, but I'm also defending it at the same time. We are in the negative part of the review, and all I'm doing is trying to rescue, trying to say, you know, oh, but this, it's bad, but this is great. But this other thing is awesome. So you can tell I really enjoy this game. The only really bad thing, there's only one thing that is kind of like really truly negative about this game for me, and that is the visuals. You know, they're beautiful, yeah, but the graphics, it's just embarrassing how it's 2022, 4.5 years later after Xenoblade Chronicles 2, and it looks the same. Just as bad on the Switch, you know, docked or undocked. Resolution issues, frame rate issues, quality issues. My god, Monolith Soft, my god, Nintendo, this is a AAA game. I have a full review, a full rant on the graphics that I'm going to upload on my second channel, linked in the description to my second channel, probably tomorrow. So if you want to know more about the graphics of this game and everything wrong with them, you know, go watch that video. It's gonna be there tomorrow. But overall, guys, that's all the negative stuff I have to say about this game. It's pretty much the only thing that's kind of unacceptable. The rest of the negative things about this game are like, they're just kind of there, they didn't bug me that much. Suffice to say, this is an excellent game, so in conclusion, this is a masterpiece. It is by far my favorite Xenoblade game in the series. The first one, the Definitive Edition, is a close second, but this is my favorite Xenoblade game now. Incredible story, incredible gameplay, incredible combat, man. I'm hyped and I love this game so freaking much that I'm gonna dare to say that this is one of the absolute best JRPGs of this generation so far. And that's it, everybody. This was my review of Xenoblade Chronicles 3. Thanks for watching, don't forget to subscribe and share this video with your friends. See you next time!